Today we're talking about one of the most persistent, intelligent, frustrating, and frankly, one of the most impressive garden pests I've ever dealt with. Squirrels. Hey folks, if we haven't met before, my name is Tara. I garden in the California Bay Area. And here on the channel, my goal is not just to help you learn to grow, but also to love the process of growing. And I'll tell you, squirrels can be a total killjoy when it comes to loving growing things, especially when they go after my GreenStalks. Now, over the years, I've tried a number of things to keep the squirrels out. Some of them worked, and then some of them worked for about 3 days. Until the squirrels found out what I was trying to do, and then they got the better of me. So after years of battling the squirrels in my GreenStalks and in my containers, I finally came to one important conclusion. The goal is not to try and convince the squirrels to behave. The goal is to design your space, your gardening space, in a manner that they won't succeed. And in one case, I actually had to go with a nuclear option. I'll tell you about it. So I'm going to show you what I mean, but before I do that, I want you to do something for me. In the comments, go ahead and tell me what is the best squirrel solution that you have tried that has actually worked. And also tell me what is the single worst thing that you have spent money on to keep the squirrels out that clearly hasn't worked. I think by the end of this video, we will have a pretty great resource for gardeners about all the things to try and all the things that just may not quite work. So the squirrel saga for the year starts around about now, end of spring or so. I've just started to put out all my beautiful seedlings, and I've taken cuttings. I've got beautiful dark soil that I'm planting them in, kind of like this bed behind me. Let me show you. Yeah, this lovely greenhouse over this elevated bed, Vego garden bed, is where I'm starting a lot of cuttings. I've got chrysanthemum, I've got some catmint, I've got some creeping verbena over there, and look at the mess that they've created. They've pulled out all my cuttings. They've dug in this beautiful dark soil. They've made a total mess. And this is not the only place. Walking under my grape arbor here. Look at all the grapes that are coming this year, you guys. I don't know what it is about the weather this year. Extra cool, I don't know what it is, but we've got loads of grapes. And I'm not going to get any of these because the squirrels are going to get everything. I just planted zinnias and snapdragons and petunias in this bed a couple of days ago. I came yesterday. They were all dug up. The seedlings were strewn everywhere. I replanted them. I hope they will grow. I put some mulch on, some wire baskets on. Yeah. And these beautiful strawberries that are starting to ripen in this planter. I mean, that's like a nice little stepping stone for them to step onto and then eat the strawberries. I'm asking for trouble here. And then there's this self-watering planter from Vego Garden that I've got some really precious things growing in. I've got 2 moringa seedlings that I grew from seed that are really struggling, and I really want to help them survive. I've got little curry leaf plants here. I've got lisianthus that I grew from seed, you guys. And it's hard to grow lisianthus from seed, one of the most difficult. And this little seedling was yanked out and lying on its side. The mulch was scattered everywhere. It was really, really depressing. And the GreenStalks, you know what? I think when they see GreenStalks, they're like, oh my gosh, here is a luxury apartment. Look at all these pockets that need to be investigated. And the soil, looks kind of black and just been disturbed. Something's going on over there. You got to check it out. And let's pull out some of these seedlings. I wonder whether we buried an acorn over there and forgot about it. All right, first let's talk about some of the things that have not worked for me. Now, I know that there's going to be debate about this because every gardener has their favorite solution that they will swear by, and definitely write in the comments what has worked for you. But what worked for you may not necessarily work for me. For example, fake owls, fake predators, snakes, realistic snakes, even petrified squirrels that look like they're playing dead. Now, they don't work at all for the squirrels on my property. The squirrels quickly figure out that they're not real and that petrified squirrels are not really a thing. Oh, and then there's the noise and the visual deterrents. My friend actually has the noise thing. Apparently there's some frequency that only the squirrels can hear. She says it doesn't work. And then there's these little things that you can hang that do the whole shiny reflective thing. Some people say put CDs, hang CDs all around. Nah, doesn't work at all. Not for my squirrels. And then There's the whirligig thingy. Total waste of money. Don't invest in these. Okay, so a couple more that I have not tried and don't intend to. One of them is coyote urine. I mean, do you really want coyote urine and to smell that as you walk around your property? So no. And then I can't imagine how they get the coyote urine. Maybe I don't even want to go there. And then there's one more, the sprinkler thing. They like put sprinklers strategically, and as something passes, it will activate and squirt them. And number one, it's pretty elaborate and pretty expensive to put such a system in place. And then the other thing is, what about when I'm passing? Won't I get sprayed? I have a feeling I'll get sprayed by the sprinkler system more often than the squirrels will. So yeah, that one's out. All right, now let's talk about some things that I have done that have actually worked, at least partially. One of the solutions is Tulle. Now, Tulle is this sort of thin fabric, netting fabric that are used in like bridal decorations and things. And these actually, I don't know what it is about them. I think the squirrels, they don't like their paws getting stuck in this material. So I've got a whole bunch of these. The reason I'm not too keen about them is because, number one, they do look ugly. And by the way, if you use the darker colors, they actually kind of vanish. I've got brown. Black is even better. It kind of completely vanishes. It's kind of weird how that works. But the other reason I don't like it is because they are not sustainable. I mean, they last maybe just a couple of months and then they start to rip and tear. And the squirrels do rip them as well. So yeah, it's not really something that will work in the long term, but it could work to get your seedlings started and just kind of get them over the hump. Actually, let me show you my bean tower, which is doing pretty well right now. Yeah, so this is my bean tower, and until 2 days ago, it was actually covered in tulle. I've taken the tulle out, but I have left in place these seed houses. Now, these seed houses are actually intended to start seeds, so they kind of keep the seeds nice and warm and cozy, and you don't need to water as frequently. But it also serves the double purpose of keeping squirrels out, because they really can't get in over here. And even though the seedlings are now past the size of the seed house, I'm kind of threading them through like this. Maybe eventually I'll take out the seed houses if it's coming in the way. But for now, it's working really well. So I'm going to just leave them there until I need them for something else. Oh, and I know some of you guys are going to ask me, because you may have seen this trellis that I put on top. This is actually a Texas tomato cage, and I've used it many, many times. It's not a GreenStalk product, but it works really well with the GreenStalk, and I am eventually going to be planting some cucumber seeds that I'm hoping will trellis up this if the squirrels let them. Now, one of the nice things about this Texas tomato cage is it's stackable. So I've got more just like this that I can actually stack one on top of the other. I actually don't recommend that you go any higher than this. I've got a video where I've stacked it, I think, one more beyond this, and I had peas going up it. And yeah, that trellis and the tower as well fell multiple times. So I do not advise it, but one level up works really well. Now, if you guys are interested in purchasing Tulle, I will put a link to where I got this. I'll put an Amazon link to it. Now, this is 54 inches wide. It is pretty flimsy, you guys. If I rip it, try to rip it hard enough, I can tear it. And it is 54 inches wide, which is actually double of this, because this is folded in half. So the way that I do it is I cut a piece to size. I measure around and I measure a little bit of slack, maybe about that much extra, because some of the plants are larger, or as they're growing, you may want to loosen it up a little bit. And all I do is I've got a few binder clips. You can use anything. You can use clothespins, you can use safety pins, but yeah, this is how long it kind of looks. So I start on one end, I clip my little thing over here, and then I go around like that, and then I come all the way over here, reclip it, and I just do it in about 3 places. That way I figure that the squirrels won't be able to get in. Now in this planter, I've got my peppers, my eggplants, so a lot of precious summer crops. And I already found one pocket completely dug out. So I know that they're going to come after this. So I waited just one day because I want to make this video and show you how I wrap it around. So this is kind of how it looks. and it's going to be pretty safe. You can see it's pretty transparent, so the GreenStalk doesn't look ugly or anything. I've tried using the GreenStalk insect netting and it works, but it doesn't look good. It's the big white thing. It looks like a ghost, and for me, my GreenStalks need to look beautiful. It's really important for me, so this is the compromise. Another thing that works really well while the seedlings are little is these wire baskets. Now these are fairly inexpensive at Dollar Tree, and they actually last surprisingly long. These are like 4 or 5 years old and they're pretty much good as new. So yeah, these work really well, but the problem with them is that as the plants grow larger, and especially if you're covering plants like zucchini and stuff, they don't fit in this thing. I'm covering zinnias with it, so that works well, but larger plants will quickly outgrow this. Oh, and by the way, use a garden staple to press this into the soil, otherwise the squirrels will just knock them over. One more thing that I do is I save all my clamshells, you guys. This is mostly for fruit. So this pear tree, I mean, squirrels are going to get a lot of them, but at least I want to save some of them for my family. So I use, this is croissants. Fortunately, my family eats a lot of croissants, maybe too much from the number of boxes that I have. Problem with the croissant box, this is the one from Costco, is I've got to add ventilation to it, otherwise it gets all liquidy inside with the humidity. And then these other little clamshells, they've got holes in them already, the ones that you buy grapes in. So there's a lot of clamshell options and sizes as you buy fruit from the supermarket. Just make sure you save them because they are so valuable. Squirrels do not get into these. They are bulletproof for squirrels. Now you will notice that all of the things that I've talked about so far that have worked kind of partially for me have relied on the principle of exclusion, namely keeping the squirrels out. Now, I cannot kill a living creature, you guys. It's just how I am, and my squirrels are my friends. And even though they are not native, the squirrels that I have in my backyard are called fox squirrels, brown fox squirrels. They're from eastern United States, and they're actually pretty invasive over here. But I can't kill them. I just can't. They're my friends. They're in the garden, you know, hanging around me. They trust me. They sit right next to me and chew on their acorns. They look at me from the tree. You know, they're part of this ecosystem for me, so I really cannot do anything. Plus, they're so darn cute. So I rely on exclusion, and there's one more thing that I try to do as much as possible, and that is you do have to harvest on time. If you've got a beautiful ripe fruit that is screaming their name, they will come after it. And the thing about squirrels is they will eat and they will throw, you know, maybe they'll come back for it later and finish it, but I find like ripe tomatoes and stuff just sort of chewed on and thrown, and then they've gone for the next one. I'm like, at least eat the whole thing. So yeah, like zucchini. I'm harvesting my first zucchini on camera. Look at that. This is a Danja zucchini. So good. Yeah, this cage over here is not going to do anything to prevent the squirrels. They'll come in from the top. But yeah, my point is harvest early. Don't wait for them. They will, I mean, a day before you think you need to harvest is when you should harvest, because squirrels know the exact right time when it's ready to be harvested before you do. So I think the biggest mind shift for me came when I stopped thinking about how to prevent squirrels or try to change their behaviors and started thinking about how I can make my garden less attractive to them and how I can design my space so that they're not interested. I mean, their motivation is so much higher than our motivation, right? For us, if we don't get food from the garden, we get it from the grocery store. They do not have a plan B, so they are really motivated to get what they need to get when they need it. And one of the things that I try to do is avoid bare soil, especially black bare soil. For some reason, critters think that it's not just squirrels, it's like litter box material. If you've got a cat, you know what I mean. And I like actually putting this mulch on it. Now this is mulch actually that I got from Costco. This is that cocoa mulch. I don't know what it is about it, but the squirrels don't seem to like it. And it makes me wonder how they have treated this thing, because if the squirrels don't like it, there's got to be something wrong with it, right? Who knows? The other thing that you can do is plant really densely. Now, I have planted strawberries here. I've got a couple of tomato plants. I've got some coleus growing and some petunias. And then I planted some sweet potato slips, and they completely took over, and they have covered this almost like a living ground cover. And I mean, the squirrels can't even make their way into this. This is a lovely living mess. And so that is one way to keep the squirrels out, is actually to plant much more densely than the recommended spacing between your plants. By the way, the planter that I was just showing you, this is the Cedarcraft planter that Costco sells every year. I've had this now for about, I'd say about 5 years. And I like it. It's given me a lot of produce. It's a self-watering planter, so there's like 6 gallons under it. There are some things that you do need to be aware about for this planter if you do choose to buy it. So I'll go ahead and link a video where I talk all about the kind of watch outs for this planter. But yeah, it has really given me a lot of produce. Self-watering planters are something else, I'll tell you, especially in our hot, dry California climate. I've got the self-watering planters from Vego Garden over here, and they're the bomb. They're the best in the market. And for your GreenStalks, besides using something like Tulle, if you don't want to use this, at least make sure that you don't have too many empty pockets. Empty pockets are a nice place for squirrels to sit and dig. And if there are little seedlings in them, yeah, that's horrible. And I have found that this mulch is working, at least somewhat. So the squirrels came, the first day that I put the mulch in the pockets, the squirrels did come and they dug up one of my plants and they checked it out. But after that, they didn't show up. So again, I don't know what it is about the Costco cocoa mulch that is not enticing to them, but hey, I'll take it. So I told you that there was a nuclear option that we eventually resorted to because we just got tired of dealing with the battles with the squirrels. So meet the Squirrel-Proof enclosure. Yep, no squirrels and no rats are allowed in here. Let me show you some of the things I am growing. I am like a kid in a candy store growing all these things that I never ever thought I'd be able to grow. My fig tree looks so funny with all these clamshells on it. All right, let's go into the squirrel enclosure. All right, so first off, they're all still waiting in line here, but I have got a lot of tomatoes already planted. I've got some more to go. I am using this method called low and lean, where you trellis the tomato up this string that is tied on top to this kind of pole over here. And then when the tomato vine reaches all the way to the top here, you can unravel this and release some more string, and then you kind of let the tomato plant lean over, and that's the natural vining habit of the tomato. So I'm trying this for the first time. I'll see if it works, and keep up with me, keep up with my channel if you want to see how this goes. But here is the bed that I am most excited about, you guys. I am growing dahlias. Squirrels always dug out my dahlias. And I am growing corn, you guys. They say knee-high by the 4th of July. It is way past knee-high. And every single one of them is growing beautifully. And I've got sunflowers. This is another thing that I could never get to grow beyond this height. I mean, the squirrels would, even the larger sunflower plants, they'd climb all the way up and break them. And just, it was so frustrating. So I'm growing sunflowers again. And let me walk over here. I'm growing peanuts. Now, peanuts are another thing that squirrels just love, and they love to dig up the plants. Peanuts are a really interesting plant to grow, you guys. If you've never grown peanuts, I think it's worth trying because they just grow so differently than I've ever seen any other plant. They produce peanuts by, creating long stems with a peg. The peg goes into the soil and it forms a peanut cluster underneath. Fascinating plant to grow. And then even my little squashes and zucchinis and things, oh my gosh, squirrels just eat everything. They take down the entire plant. When it's about this size, it doesn't grow beyond this for me. The squirrels harvest not just the zucchinis, but also the plants. And in this corner over here, I have got a green stalk that is full of strawberry plants and strawberries that are ready for harvesting. First time I'm growing really tasty strawberries. They are so sweet. And I've done a whole bunch of things this year differently, including putting it inside this enclosure so squirrels don't get to it. But I did a lot of other things as well. I put a link to that video too. What did I do differently this year to get sweet strawberries? These are so delicious. I'm saving these for my son. I had a whole bunch yesterday. More tomatoes growing here. I've got cucumbers. Can you believe, you guys, I have not even been able to grow cucumbers because the squirrels take those as well. So cucumbers, cantaloupes, I'm going to just let them sprawl everywhere. I've never been able to let any of these plants that can technically sprawl on the ground, I've never been able to do that because, yeah, squirrels. Another thing that I've grown just once but never been able to grow again because the first time I grew them, the squirrels took them out. Black-eyed peas. Have you guys ever grown black-eyed peas? This is probably one of the tastiest beans. It's not a pea, by the way, it's a bean. And it's one of the tastiest I've ever grown. It's a southern thing from what I understand, but in India we eat it a lot and it's just, oh, it's such a tasty bean. Here's another squash that I have been wanting to grow and been trying to grow for years. And the only reason I haven't succeeded is because squirrels have taken out the plant. This is called kabocha squash. So this one can produce vines that are 10, 15 feet. Here's another interesting thing about this enclosure. There are ways to trellis things that, you know, all these things, I can trellis things on all these. So yeah, the world has opened up to me to grow a lot of climbing plants and a lot of plants that I have never been able to grow before. By the way, I've got raccoons as well. Yeah, I've got all kinds of critters in my yard and none of them can get into this enclosure. Yeah, so this enclosure was definitely not easy and it definitely wasn't cheap. I am very, very fortunate to have my husband and my son who are really great at building things to build this for me. I don't know whether I would have done it otherwise, but the joy that it has brought me, the excitement about growing, there's nothing that can compare to it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, folks, and I do want to hear in the comments about solutions that have worked for you because that's going to help not just me, but also the community. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, live green and love your greens.